Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Look, today we're going to see how we can completely hack our brain chemistry to make studying, or really any incredibly difficult, boring task, feel completely irresistible. Seriously. If you have ever found yourself just staring blankly at a textbook while your brain is literally screaming at you to pick up your phone, well, this is absolutely for you. We're going to break down exactly how you can rewire those urges from the ground up.
So, I want you to ask yourself this right now. What if your brain craved studying exactly like it craves social media? I mean, it sounds totally impossible, right? No way. But here's the crazy secret about how we're wired. Your brain actually doesn't know the difference between studying and scrolling. It doesn't have this built-in biological preference for Instagram over, say, a physics textbook. It really only speaks one language, and that language, it's dopamine.
Now here's where most of us get dopamine completely wrong. We all kind of think of it as the pleasure chemical, right? Like dopamine equals feeling good. But it isn't actually just about experiencing pleasure in the moment. Dopamine is all about anticipation. It's the mechanism of reward prediction. It's that feeling of, oh, something good is about to happen. And that specific mechanism, that anticipation, is exactly the loophole we are going to hack today so you could redirect it towards your own growth.
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll cover why studying hurts, the dopamine problem. Then, the dopamine loading method, hack your brain. Next up, your daily dopamine routine, a practical guide. After that, the first 5 days, expect resistance. And finally, we'll dive deep into protect your baseline, guard your dopamine.
Okay, starting us off, Section 1. Why studying hurts, the dopamine problem. Let me just start by completely validating your struggle here. Because you aren't lazy, you're really not. And your brain definitely isn't broken. What's actually happening is a totally unfair fight inside your head every single day. Think about it. On one side, you've got social media, YouTube Shorts, gaming. They give you this instant, ridiculously easy, massive dopamine spike. And then on the other side, you have studying, which is incredibly slow, super difficult, and trickles out a very low, delayed dopamine release. Your brain is literally just doing what evolution designed it to do, seeking out the highest dopamine activity with the absolute least amount of effort. So when you sit down to study, your brain compares it to your phone and just screams, "Why are we doing this? This is so boring." So the real trick here is learning how to manually work with this chemistry, rather than just gritting your teeth and relying on pure willpower. Because let's be honest, willpower always fails eventually.
Which brings us to Section 2, the dopamine loading method, hack your brain. So this method, it works in 3 distinct phases, and the whole point is to physically rewire your brain to predict rewards from learning. Step 1 is deprivation, basically lowering your baseline before you even start working. Step 2 is priming. This is where you visualize success for just a couple of minutes to kickstart that anticipation engine. And step 3 is amplification. That's where we manually inject little dopamine rewards as you study. Let's zoom in on that first, absolutely crucial step.
Okay, step 1, deprivation. This requires 30 minutes of absolutely zero stimulation. I mean nothing. No phone, no music, no talking to anyone. Just pure silence, or maybe a really simple, quiet walk. Honestly, you're probably just going to end up staring at a blank wall. And I'll warn you right now, your brain will absolutely hate it. It's going to feel incredibly uncomfortable and twitchy. But creating that deep dopamine deficit, that is exactly the point. You're making your brain so incredibly starved and hungry for any kind of stimulation that suddenly opening up a textbook looks like a giant glass of ice water in the desert. You're artificially creating a craving.
So let's look at Section 3, daily dopamine routine, a practical guide. By charting this cell out chronologically, we make sure you're keeping your dopamine extremely low when it actually matters most. So, when you wake up, do not touch your phone. I cannot stress this enough, it's critical. Drink a glass of water, maybe take a cold shower. Just keep that morning dopamine baseline flat. Then, you enter your 30-minute pre-study silence. Let your brain really crave that input. Later on, mid-morning, after you've actually knocked out your first few study blocks, then you can introduce a moderate reward. Go get some real sunlight, eat a solid breakfast, do some light exercise. But still, no phone scrolling yet. Finally, in the evening, you get to wind down. You can totally enjoy higher dopamine activities then, but as we'll talk about later, with some very strict limits.
Now, what actually happens during the study blocks themselves? You're basically going to use the Pomodoro technique, but with a neurological twist. You do 25 minutes of deep, uninterrupted focus, followed by a 5-minute low dopamine break. And I mean low dopamine. Do not grab your phone, get up, stretch, breathe, maybe drink some water mindfully. And then, here's the secret sauce. After every single successful 25-minute block, You have to give yourself a small physical celebration. Literally say the word yes out loud or do a little fist pump. I know, you're going to feel totally silly doing it. But you literally have to manually inject that dopamine. It actively trains your brain over time to associate the act of studying with victory and a hit of reward.
Moving on to Section 4, the first 5 days. Expect resistance.
Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. The first 3 days of this, they're going to be absolute hell. And I want you to expect that going in. Your brain is going to fiercely resist this entire routine because it just wants its easy, unearned dopamine back. It's going to bargain with you, begging you to just check Instagram for like 1 single minute just to see what's happening. But you have to push through. You just have to stick with it. Because around day 4 or 5, something actually magical happens.
If you can just hold out until day 5, your entire dopamine baseline resets. All of a sudden, studying actually starts feeling genuinely satisfying. Now, obviously, the textbook didn't suddenly become more exciting overnight. What changed is you. Your neurological baseline reset itself to actually crave productive, difficult tasks. Suddenly, wrapping your head around a complex concept gives you a genuine natural rush. Figuring out a hard problem starts to feel exactly like leveling up in a video game. You aren't forcing yourself to sit at your desk anymore. You actually, kind of weirdly, want to do the work.
And now for the most important part of this entire explainer. Section 5, protect your baseline, guard your dopamine.
Look, getting to this highly optimized brain state is a massive achievement, but the real focus, the thing you have to master if you want this to last, is how you maintain it after that initial phase. Your new mantra from this day forward is simply this: guard your dopamine like it's precious, because it is. Once you've gone through those 5 days and reset your receptors, they become incredibly sensitive again. You have earned this brand new baseline, and you have to start treating your attention and your dopamine as highly valuable, strictly limited resources. Because if you don't actively protect it every day, your brain is just going to immediately revert right back to its old lazy pathways.
So, how do we actually protect this baseline in practice? This is how you maintain it long term. First, yes, you can absolutely still enjoy high dopamine activities like gaming or watching Netflix in the evenings. We aren't robots. But you must set rigid, totally non-negotiable time limits on them. Second, you have to ruthlessly avoid those huge, 3-hour mindless social media binges. Just one massive, uncontrolled binge can completely fry your newly sensitive receptors and instantly wipe out all your progress. Third, start carrying this low-stimulation philosophy into other parts of your day. A great trick is practicing mindful eating without looking at a screen. Just notice the taste and texture of your food. Believe it or not, this actually helps keep those dopamine receptors sensitive. And finally, just maintain that daily low-stimulation pattern, especially during your mornings. If you win the morning, you protect the baseline for the whole day. It's really that simple.
So, I'll leave you with this final, crucial thought. Are you going to just let your primitive brain blindly dictate your habits forever, or are you going to step up and reprogram it to actually win? The dopamine is already right there inside your head. It's just about redirecting the flow. You now have the exact formula to steer your own chemistry toward growth. So here is my challenge to you. Try this dopamine loading routine for just 5 days. Don't worry about being perfect, and don't even worry about doing it forever. Just give it 5 days, and let's see who is really in control.